So, I think I'm going to do a little tiny bit of news on this channel as it relates to our whole world and our economy and whatever. The bulk of news is going to be on the other channel, but it's so hard because, YouTube made me get two crowds and it's just impossible to please everybody. I'm trying, but I'm going to live stream more on the other channel. The live streams on this channel are almost impossible because people want to talk about news instead of listening to what I'm saying, and it's not fair to people. So I think I'm going to make more still healing videos so that people can listen to them and I don't get distracted by people trying to make comments that have nothing to do with what I'm talking about. And people don't understand how hard it is to try to keep your mind on what you're saying and then go read. And when you're expecting to read comments of people that have questions or want to talk about what you're talking about, and everybody's going to politics. So it's just, I have to figure it all out because I've only had the channel back for a few days. Here's what's so important about Ohio and President Trump. Look at this beautiful dinner. He is trying to save the next generation from being a drug addicted nation. And that's what he's doing here. And when I showed Melania and Donald Trump at the Children's Hospital going to see the babies and small young children that were born addicted because their parents were, it was so moving and so beautiful, and people should look at that. But here at this dinner, he was dealing in Ohio because that's one of the states among many others that have an opioid crisis. And it was intended and planned for everybody because actually the drugs used to be filtered through all the high places in the elite and the government and Hollywood, and then given to kids at schools and getting them addicted while they were young and becoming basically broken adults and property of our government deep state. Because when you're broken in that and you always need to have medication and the things that remove, drug addiction, I forget what that word is, methadone or something like that, to counter, you're a product of their plan and big pharma. And then if you've suffered with addiction, you've always got, it's almost like a handicap. They own you, and you end up needing care and medicine and dealing with psychiatrists and psychologists and depression and in and out of rehab, and you make them a fortune through your life. And it's so important that we heal people and heal people from brokenness and from toxic parents and from everything, so that people stop reaching for drugs and alcohol. And again, we finally have a president that's not part of it. All the other people pretended they weren't part of drugs and drug addiction, and they were actually part of it themselves, and then making other children part of it because they were making sure they were passed out in schools like candy. So we really have done a lot under President Trump to raise awareness and break parts of the incoming drugs by finding out where they were coming from, and shipments and in truckloads and in cars through Mexico and whatever, and not allowing the big amounts. And in some places, they even were coming inside of things from China, because all of this made them millions. And then it made every single person that wants to work and then have to fight off addiction a broken adult. And so if President Trump gets 2 terms of dealing with dismantling the incoming drugs into this country, and we get a generation of children that aren't even close to becoming addicts to drugs, we will move 10 generations up, because if they're not addicted, then their kids won't be addicted, then the grandkids, and so on. And it will move a nation like we've never, ever seen. And if whoever replaces President Trump in 8 years, with now 6, also doesn't do drugs and continues what he's done, we will end up truly saving the generations of this world after we're gone. So this is major.